Well, hello. I woke up a little later than usual this morning. I've been dealing with a few things, and then had to check emails and everything. Just trying to get a little hit of myself financially. So I'm just looking for different hustles I could be getting into. The bag never stops here, even when I'm off shift. But I noticed a couple of things in my life that I really just can't ignore. And, you know, over the years, I have really have been, you know, debating back and forth about this whole entire love thing, trying to figure it out. What are we doing wrong? Male or female, really. It's this whole idea about love that is completely been misrepresented and wrong. Honestly, you know, I'm not saying that I have figured it out. I'm just saying that I feel like love is fluid. Love is fluid. And a lot of people don't understand how fluid it is. And people don't understand how love should work. You know, I feel like there is a time and there is a place for everything. And I had went into several phases in my life where I had felt insecure. I had fell into phases in my life where I just like, well, maybe my love is not enough, or maybe what I'm doing, is not complementary to the love that I'm saying or portraying verbally. Um, and then there was times where I was, pointing the finger, and I'm like, well, they're not loving me good enough, or I'm not, they're not doing good by me, they're not saying this, they're not doing this, they're not doing this the way I imagined it. And a lot of times when I say I imagined it, I wanted something that was shown to me. A lot of times we get these ideals from books, movies. Sometimes people around us, they're portraying a type of love that is visible to us. But then when they go home, we don't see what they got going on unless they say something or post it. And then we're all in shock that they break up. We're all in shock that, you know, this has happened, or the person wasn't good enough, or that person broke up with this person for a dumb reason. And it has absolutely nothing to do with the people that we're in love with. Sometimes it has everything to do with ourselves. Sometimes we don't feel like we're at that stage of growth yet. You have to grow very big for certain phases in your life to accept certain things that coming into your life, including love. Back then, I didn't think of it this way. Back then I was like, oh, this should be this and this should be that. This is not how it's supposed to go. And then after a good amount of time, this person says that they need space. This person says that they need to go, or, it's not working out. Ignoring those things create more issues for you than it does for the person sometimes, because you're not willing to cope, you're not willing to let go, and you're just trying to prolong the process of letting go, at the same time breaking your own heart, messing your own mind, messing up your own progress, or theirs. It's selfish all at once, and you think of it being selfless when in reality it's more selfish than anything. I believe it or not, I was one of those people, prolonging the process, not willing to accept the loss or let go. But I had to look at that L, and I had to understand that the L is not a loss, it is a lesson. The L is not a loss, it is it's a lead. It is ahead of where you're going to go, leading you to where you could be. If I would have stayed in the same mindset that I was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I would not be where I'm at right now. About a year ago, I've explained this before in a previous video. And, I was in a really bad place. I'm just using that as an example. But I had to go through different phases to understand my wholeness. I had to understand different phases in my life in different situations, whether I was up or I was down, depending on who was around. And it has been a very challenging yet a liberating experience, because I have learned different things out of the people that I've loved, that I've known for years, that I've known almost my whole entire life, that I've known my entire life. And I'm learning new things about these people when I consent to allow them to give, or when I consent myself to ask for assistance, to extend that connection. And it's like, wow, the ideas that I had in my own mind were not as so. The whole concept of my toxic independence, and I call it toxic independence because I was really being toxic to myself. I was cutting myself off from everybody mentally, and it really put me in a place where I was in overactive mode, or autopilot, or whatever terms you would like to use for that. And it took me to an unhealthy place. And I was like, wow, I've turned into a different person, and now I'm who I am now. But it's like, I know where I can spread myself, and I know where I can keep myself now. Still in the process of getting back to where I can, walk out and stuff. I still have me, I still have my freedom, I still have this, but I also know I can fall back. And I learned to love differently along the way. Instead of forcing myself at a distance, I put myself in a space where I'm reachable, and not only dependable, but I can also be independent, but I can also depend on others as well. And it just feels so good to feel like I can just spread out and relax a bit, and allow someone else to, okay, this is their turn, this is my turn, this is their turn, this is your turn. I'm not as overwhelmed as I was, But back to the love thing, outside of family, outside of everything, love is fluid. And it is not just something that you feel, it is an act that you do. And when you start speaking your actions, and when your actions are from what you speak and how you do, you manifest those things in a good way, I'll say. It becomes a culture, and that is something that people are missing. You can tell me, you can say things to me and try to convince me one way, but if you show me something else, completely different entities, completely different things, then I can't really fully put myself onto you. And I have realized, back then I was that person that you just can't put yourself on me because I'm not all together, And I have a specific message for women, or anybody that has a specific type of person in their life, that does not know how to, I'm not saying they don't know. Well, yeah. I'll say this. There was a time where I had a man friend that I was entertaining, and he just constantly wanted his space. He constantly wanted to leave, and I'm like, yeah, okay, he's not really into me. He doesn't really like me. He just does not want anything to do with me. I'm texting this person, and he was very honest about me being, okay, you're overdoing it, and I'm like, okay. And, towards the end of our situation, he admitted that he wasn't really that into me. It was just something to do. Then I changed. I didn't change for him. I just like, okay, I'm not allowing a person like that in my life again. So I'm going to alter myself. Stay away from that person. Work on me. I worked on myself for about a year or two. And this person just comes back in, just random, just checking to see how I was. And they let me know how they were doing and stuff. They were going through a hard time and everything. And I was like, well, I hate that you're going through that. I didn't give them any information about me because I feel like this. You contact me. I'm not volunteering information to you because I did not reach out to you. I really didn't want to know. But, that door was open for communication as friends and stuff. But, and I'm sure that, if he would have asked, I would have gave him information. But I did not because I wasn't concerned about him really. But, I told him that, I hope that everything gets better. Gave him a little advice. And he appreciated it. Then he continues to ask me if I wanted to go on a date. And I said, I really am, just too busy, to really date anybody. Which it was true. I was really too busy to date anybody. This is a couple years back. It was more than a couple years back before I even got with my previous arrangement, I will say. And he was like, oh, so you probably just trying to get some get back or something like that. Just rehearsing, just giving me, the business pretty much. And I said, no. It's not that. I wasn't even thinking about your so-called revenge. I'm just, I am out here doing me. I don't have time for anything. He said, send me your schedule. I said, I did not respond to that message. Every day after that, constant, just wanting to get to know me, wanting to talk again, want me to give energy that I already gave him to me. Well, I finally gave in and allowed him to take me on a date. Well, if you call that a date. He just got to talking, got to venting. And then here comes the drum roll. He tells me that he had a girlfriend. Not the time that, I was trying to speak to him, of course. He had a girlfriend. She ended up breaking his heart, so on and so forth. I'm the type of person that, I don't just hear one side of the story, especially if I'm not interested in you. I just gave him more advice. I'm like, look, the best thing to do is give her space. It looks like you gave her the energy I was giving you, and she didn't appreciate it. And he looked at me, he's like, you really think so? And I said, well, I believe so. That everything that you just told me was exactly what I experienced with you. And now we're on this so-called date. You're venting to me about an ex when really you should be focused on the date that we're having. And he looked at me, he's like, this is a date. I'm paying for it. I said, no, honey, I brought my own money. I'm paying for myself. You need to keep all the funds you got at this point because you don't know what's going to happen with you. He was just giving me the works, the business, the everything. He was just giving me all kinds of sob stories and all that stuff. And I did not feel a lick of sorry for him. However, I could relate to his feelings because I had felt the same way. Well, moving on, he still kind of pressed at me. He still wanted to have that little lust thing going on. I said, no. If you have to test me out, take me for a spin in order to tell me that you think you're in love with me, that's not what that is. You just want to get your rocks off, baby. And that's just not what's going to happen tonight. That's just not happening. And he was like, so you don't feel that way about me anymore? I said, look here, let me tell you something about love. Love is a choice. And it is. I can choose to pursue it or I can choose to be distant with it. I have distracted myself. I have put myself in a better position without you present. And I've done pretty damn good. And I have gotten numbers. I have gotten text messages from people who really want to deal with me. You want to deal with me as a comeback because you can't cope with the fact that somebody would treat you like you treated me. I hope this helps you elevate in your love life. I hope this helps you elevate as far as being a decent person. I appreciate your honesty with me. That way, I can just move forward and not deal with you. However, how you're coming at me now, it just makes me feel like you're just not sincere or loyal. Your actions really show me that you're not who the person I made you out to be in my mind. And he was like, what you mean? What you mean? You ever get that person that's like, what you mean? What you talking about? Like, explain yourself anymore. At that point, I've already explained enough, honey. I'm tired of talking to you. And so I just ended it from there. And it got to a point to where I had to block this person. I had to block this person out of my life completely because they continued on. I wouldn't have minded being this person's friend, but I just could not. I could not. I could not. I will not. Ever. Anyway, continuing on, after, all of this, I have learned, that moment didn't validate me, but it helped me value me. It helped me value the situation and the lesson that came with that person. And I hope that person can take the lesson and take upon value as well. I haven't checked in on this person. I hope they're doing well. But I don't have any ill will. I didn't even have any ill will against them whenever we were on the date. I just remember, what he brought to the table when we finally went on the date. He brought bullshit. And did. He brought venting. He brought negative energy. He did not bring the energy he was supposed to bring. So that's why I don't consider that. He could have paid for 2 plates each, and it still wouldn't have been a date. You just paying for dinner at that point. If the date is not about the person you're dating with, honey, it's not a date. It's not a date. I don't want to hear about your baby mama issues. I don't want to hear about, I want to know what, this is pretty much an interview to the relationship or the fling. This is what a date is. That's what a date's supposed to be. I understand if we were friends for years and we just having dinner together and we're just talking and I'm just giving you counsel. I felt like a free counselor at that moment because I was just listening, giving free advice, giving free game to somebody who claimed to know everything when I first, met them. They had their life together, had a whole car, had, their apartment. This person had it together seemingly at the time that I wanted them. The idea. He comes back in. He lost his vehicle, being arrogant, got into an accident. Had a girlfriend he claimed took all his money, which I found out that wasn't even true. He was really down. But the part that really got me, the part that really took all my feelings out of the equation completely, was how he approached the situation with me. And I went on the date anyway, like an idiot. I shouldn't have wasted my time. The food was banging. He chose a really good restaurant. However, venting about a female I do not know is very unattractive. It's very unattractive. In a public place. Very unattractive. And so it's not that he was in a downfall financially. It was not that, he had to move back in with his mom or whatever happened. It wasn't any of those things. Those things did not bother me. I had to start over myself after a breakup. And I am at a good place today. As a matter of fact, I encourage people, if you can stay home and your parents don't have a problem with it and you pay some of the bills and you still save money, do that. This economy these days, do that. Do that. But, everything this person was doing and has done, not coming from judgment, I think that they were going through their lesson trial. And that's just what happened. You go through a lesson trial, you build, you continue on, and you grow, and you go through that. He was not ready for what I had. He was not ready for my offers. He was not what he wanted. His intention was is to receive, for one, sex, and to receive energy from me, because he remembered how I was just, head over heels ready for him. And it did not work out. That is what took my feelings out of the question. Actually, my feelings were already gone, but I was bored. Might as well go ahead and go, because, he kept asking. But I hope that he graduated from this trial. Like I said, everybody goes through them. And through my trial of learning, I understood that love is fluid. When I was in my actual real commitment, I'm talking about a real commitment that I was in, I had done a lot of wrong in my commitment, believing in one type of love that was not real, not communicating, or, very, very disruptive. I was very immature when it comes to love, because I did not understand what I wanted. I understood what I seen on TV. I understood what people were telling me, but I was like that aggressive law enforcement or something. It's like I just got promoted to top flight security at the mall. Oh, bitch was showing her badge everywhere, baby. I was doing that in my situation, and then I, got a little cocky up there, and then I fell. Oh, shut my phone. But yeah, I fell, and there was my lesson trial, and I had to understand that sometimes giving is too much, and sometimes receiving can be too much. You've got to do what you have to do. You've got to give effort. You've got to, start understanding how awareness works when it comes to a relationship with somebody. Sometimes it doesn't have to be romantic. Sometimes you just got to understand silence has values. Sometimes silence is the best teacher, and it is actually it's the best way to fight for me. But it was the right thing, wrong time. Sometimes I felt it was the right thing, but it was the wrong situation to do it. And then towards the end of my, commitment, my first real commitment to love, towards the end I started doing things right, but it was already too late. But I didn't want to leave the situation bitter. I wanted to leave the situation with a clean slate. Not to say that, it's a possibility that I come back, but, hey, the least I could do is, clean up on my way out. That way, when you decide to, move forward or whatever, because it's already been hard after you argue and fight and you fuss and you go through these trials and tribulations that relationships take you through sometimes. Sometimes it's good to wake up to a clean house. Sometimes it's good to wake up to a little breakfast or clean clothes even. Those little things really do help. I remember I'm by myself now, but being by myself, sometimes I do miss having an extra person around to, at least, help dishes, because sometimes I don't have energy to do any of that. So I say all of these things to say that what I'm seeing on social media, I'm seeing a lot of people that don't understand how good it can be in any situation. There's a lot of greatness that I have gained being alone and being celibate, being by myself. Then there was a lot of greatness that I could have had while I was in a committed relationship. But I had to learn that love is fluid. Even now, the person that I was in my commitment with, there's still love there. There's still caring. There's still, but I had to learn that along the way. And I had to, present myself different. Not saying that I have to, just I naturally rewired myself, and through this time, if you don't rewire yourself, then the lesson's going to continuously to come back. It's going to continue to come back. But I had to rewire my brain on how to love. My representation on love growing up you know, whether it was on film or I seen it through family members or friends or whatever, reading books. It was unrealistic for me. The type of person I am, it is unrealistic for me. The type of love that I am requiring is complementary to the love that I give and I'm willing to receive. You know, I can't expect love like what my grandparents have. I can't expect love from what my parents have. I can't expect that. I'm not them. I am me. Experience has always been the best teacher. And I've always said that. Because, you know, when you have experience, you have lessons. When you have lessons, you have learning. When you have learning, then comes your outcome. You know, then comes the aha moment. You know, yes, I had an itch and I'm going to scratch it. Dadgumma, let it fly. Let it happen. But anyway, it's like, let's see, it's different when you experience it. It's one thing somebody tells you how to love somebody. It's another thing if they show you. And it's another thing if you experience it. And I have to say, I'm not going to say that I wasn't taught to love as a child. That's not fair. That doesn't make sense. As an adult, you are entitled to your experiences, your views, your lessons, your everything, your aha moments, even your down moments, your lesson, your trial. Those are what's going to teach you better than your parents, than your teachers, than anybody. And so, like I said, not taken away from my parents, grandparents, or whoever assisted me to get up to my life. However, I had to learn a lot of things on my own because I had to see it firsthand. My vision, my oneness, my mind, my dissection of what I have. It had nothing to do with them. You know, those are the things that has brought me to the place I'm at. And that's why it's like, wow, like, you know, a lot of people say that they're amazed at, you know, how I've grown mentally and everything like that because I allowed myself certain experiences. I've allowed myself certain conversations with certain people. You know, I made it my duty, I'll say. I made it my business to understand the other side. Some people, even growing up, you know, they're like, oh, no, this person's trash or this person's this. And I'm like, okay, let me go talk to trash real quick. I want to see why are they so trashy, you know, or this person, they're stuck up. All right, let me go up there and let me see what's up with Miss Stuck Up. Then, then there's like, oh, he's nasty. He don't take care of himself. Oh, let me just see if I can help him bathe, you know. I've always been that type of person. So that's how I learn people. That's how I help people. I don't care about your sign. I don't care about your job. I don't care about your background. I want to know what's up. I'm naturally nosy. That's just who I am. Not nosy in a messy sense, but I'm just like, I always feel the need to get to know someone. And a lot of times people are just misunderstood. You know, a lot of times people have different experiences that lead them to there and they're just stuck. They're addicted to that. We may all go through things differently. We may all experience things differently. But at the end of the day, these experiences is what makes us. You know, if you allow it. You know, a person in prison could be more free than I am. And I'm out here living my life. I'm able to go wherever I want to go. But that doesn't mean I'm free. That doesn't mean that my love for me or for other people is fluid. You know, certain places, certain people, certain things, certain senses that we have can unlock these things if we allow it. But if we don't, you know, then, you know, we just don't. So, you know, like I said, I mean, throughout my trial, finding out how fluid love is and can be, I have to love someone a certain way in order to love me. I have to have my love for me to make more love for them. I have to allow it to grow. I have to incubate it a bit. And, some of you men, some of you women, fluid genders, welcome. If you claim to be a tree, welcome. We need you, you know. Yeah. I feel like, that's just how I feel. Those lessons were very valuable to me, and I've learned to appreciate. I've learned to have gratitude every day, and that's why it's like a lot of people's like, why are you so bubbly? Why are you so happy? Why are you just so the way you are? I don't ever see you not have a smile on your face, and when they don't see me smile, then they're like, they really are concerned. But usually, you know, I try to, keep myself up when it comes to mood. But that's why. That is why I've learned to appreciate the small things instead of asking so much for the big things. Because I've been without the big things for so long. I don't think about it. And it's funny how things work. When you don't think about it, it comes to you naturally because your gratitude, your peace, your love, and everything, just your vibrations bring it to you. And so really that's just the message overall for someone today is learning how love is fluid, learning how you can make your love work for you. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be a very strict way. It doesn't have to be, oh, you got to love a man a certain way. You got to love a woman a certain way. Sometimes you come across people in life on purpose to help you get to your purpose. And I've learned that over time that's just what it is. That's what it is, you know. And I have a few questions for a few men, in my life. One main question is, actually it's not a question. I really have a statement for women. Sometimes when you're a very good woman, you give, you work hard, you got your own, he really doesn't have to do much for you. It's not that he's threatened. This is abnormal for him. Sometimes he does not know how to deal with a woman that is abundant already and that can give him more abundance. And he's like, he was taught to be the provider. He was taught to be a certain way. He was taught to be the protector. Then he gets a whole warrior, queen, goddess package that is really something he wants, but he's afraid to love because like, damn, what if I ain't got enough for her? She deserves the world. That mindset, that idea can really scare himself. And he's got to step back and try to figure out how can I not exactly one up this girl, but how can I get this girl to really need me? So this whole argument on how certain men are not valuing you and they have to step back. Sometimes that little ghosting or sometimes that little, step back, a lot of that is not that he's not into you. Sometimes it's not that he's intimidated either. Sometimes it's like, dang, I really have got to do better because she deserves better. Sometimes it's that. You know what I'm saying? You really just got to understand how certain men work. And you got to understand too, women, is that men have emotions too. They handle their emotions differently. Yes, men, I said it. I said it and I'll say it again. You have emotions. Now, a lot of y'all have been fixed on this concept that y'all are not emotionally motivated like we are because y'all have logic. But let me just tell you something. When you change that habitat that you're in, logics don't work everywhere. So, yes, women, men have emotions. And a lot of them were trained otherwise. They were trained, they were groomed, they were brought up mainly by their mothers to be a robot pretty much. So you're going to have to understand how patient and how fluid you're going to have to be with him. You're going to have to, I'm not going to say you're going to have to breadcrumb him, but you're going to have to kind of distance yourself a little bit and be like, okay, I'm going to let him walk his way to me. I'm not going to keep pushing myself on him. I'm not going to keep on. No, you don't need to do that. You're going to scare him off and they're going to think you really crazy. Let them find that out after the wedding night. Girl, don't do that. I'm just saying, allow him to lean forward to you. Give him a little leeway to lead himself, because that's really all he needs. So whomever needed that message, it was crazy how I just randomly got that. I ain't crazy. I guess somebody needed it. But let him be led to you by himself. Allow him to incubate a little bit. We all have this ability. Women handle it differently. Not better, differently. Then once you have him, honey, you have him. You have him, bitch. Cuffed. And then men, you know, women can be logical. We just do it different. But it takes for them to be in a situation like I have been mentioning to get that knowledge. So if I were you, especially younger men, you know, 20s maybe, you know, college age or whatever, you know, don't be extra. Just give these women some time sometimes. You know, sometimes you rush in, or sometimes you jump the gun too. You know, give these women a little time to show. You know, what's wrong with having a pure connection by being friends first? You know, there's nothing wrong with that. Being friends, dating, getting to know each other, heal and let go of your past. Now, these are for mainly men that have past situations that they can't let go, mother of their children, so on and so forth. You know, I don't care what race it is. You know, you chose that, you got that, now you live with that. But bringing someone else in and they choose to stay with you, they're accepting all of you and what comes with you, and you the same, them vice versa. You've got to understand that, you know, can't control everything. You've got to be the one that hold it together too, you know. And I'm not saying you got to do everything, but, you know, an open conversation, honesty, mutual fluid, you know, the fluid that belongs in the relationship, that creates, you know, it's going to naturally feel secure. I feel most secure when I am in the knowing. I feel most humble when I am able to trust someone. I know what this person comes with. I know what they have, and I know what we have. And that's it. That is it. I have accepted that person and what comes with them, and they have I too. When you make that promise, when you make that agreement that you are I and you, and we are one, that's what that is. But I would say for the both men and women and fluid babies, everybody's going to have to understand how time can be valued in these situations. You don't have to rush to have a baby to tie somebody down. You don't have to rush to get married to show someone you love them. You don't have to rush anything. Allow the experience. Just experience it. And everything else will happen naturally. And I think that's the conclusion of the message today. I hope whomever watches this videos get the message. You know, I'm on YouTube now. I got a few videos. You know, this will be video number 4. I got a few other videos that I do want to look through and do. But yeah, just, you know, if you end up on my YouTube, please like, share, subscribe to the channel. You may not need the message now, but somebody else may need the message. So, you know, don't be selfish, you know, share a little bit, you know, and help me out too, you know. And please, 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 you know, like the video. That's really going to help me in the long run. Eventually, I would like to build my platforms, and eventually, I would like to, get a little extra money from them. But for right now, I'm building. And I appreciate all that I have. So far, I think I've checked. I have 8 subscribers in the past couple days since I have, launched my channel, and I'm like, okay, I'm feeling good. So I appreciate all of you, and I appreciate all's to come. So, thank you. But yeah, that's the conclusion of the video. Just stay happy, stay humble, stay fluid, and learn to love yourself and nourish yourself. Also, I didn't bring it. I'll do it in the next video. Never mind. So y'all have a blessed and wonderful day. Be safe out there, y'all. Be safe. And just set your intention, and everything else will follow. Bye-bye.